Joining us now live in studio, Christie New Craig is with us. Christie, a two-term school board member in Chesapeake. She's running for the Republican nomination for Commissioner of Revenue. There's two candidates in this race, Christie New Craig and Frank King, was never been elected to anything, and Frank is the anointed candidate of the leadership Chesapeake cabal in Chesapeake, that were a handful of people, Shirley Forbes, Carol Dietrich K, and a couple others, choose who all your candidates are going to be. And if anybody dares challenge them, well, they threaten them and try to run them out of the party, and they don't allow them to be members, and they do all that stuff that you hate about politics, which is why we are so in for Christie New Craig, because she's standing up truth to power, and we appreciate that. Christie, good to have you with us.
Good morning, John. Thanks for having me. I got a lot to cover.
Well, go ahead. Let's start. One of the things is you were at a forum at the Chamber. I know we talked about this the other day, but this just hasn't gotten out in the media. You're at a forum at the Chamber of Commerce, the Hampton Roads Chamber of Commerce, and the question of the Commissioner of Revenue's office automation had come up. And it's not automated. Our office is not automated in Chesapeake anywhere to the extent that other similar cities are. And so Frank King, who is your opponent, who has been basically the puppet candidate of Shirley Forbes and a few other people, he was asked the question why they were lagging behind in automation. And this is the answer he gave. And I kid you not. I mean, it's on the record. He said, well, I put in a requisition for a new automated system in 2008, and I haven't received an answer back. I mean, I thought he was joking. He was serious. So basically, he's waiting for an answer 9 years later as the deputy, hasn't been able to get it done. Now, all of a sudden, he's saying that he's Mr. Automation. How does this all work?
Well, John, I canvassed the city when I started to run this race, and I asked the voters what they wanted. What did they expect from their Commissioner of Revenue? And they talked to me about it. And that's where I set my platform and my message, because it's what the taxpayers want, not what Christie Craig wants, not what Mr. King wants. And one of the messages that they said was, let's do more business online, not inline. Let's streamline services. Let's make it easier to do business in Chesapeake. And that's how, from day one, I set my platform up to do what the taxpayers wanted, what they asked. Now, all of a sudden, my opponent has decided to use my platform to benefit his campaign. He's now on board. See, I told you I could bring stakeholders together to make things happen, so that's why I have to be the next commissioner, because I'm able to get my opponent on board to get things done. Let's talk about status quo.
He's been in here for 28 years.
Absolutely.
I mean, look, Frank King represents the epitome of status quo. And so if you like paying your taxes and you like being shaken down and you don't want change and you think you're not taxed enough, then I guess he's your guy. But what really bothers me about this is the fact that people are talking about his level of experience, and he does. He has an MBA. But I'm about results. I don't care what your resume is, Christie. If you can't get results, what the heck good is it?
Absolutely. I have always been about results. 30 years of public service to the citizens, and results matter. My opponent has decided that he was running in the beginning on endorsements, and I don't think that was working. So now that failed.
That's an epic fail.
Yes, absolutely. So now he's running on Christie Craig's platform because it's working, because it's what the voters want. I understand what the voters want. I've been elected twice. The voters have chosen me to represent them on the school board. They trust me. They have faith in me. I've done a great job. I will continue to do a great job as the next Commissioner of the Revenue.
Well, look, when I work with you in the General Assembly on anything at all, you're the go-to person up there for everybody. Anybody that knows your reputation as Senator John Cosgrove's legislative aide. You've been there for 15 years, I believe. Just
completed my 16th session.
Right, so your 16th session.
Absolutely.
So you've been there a long time. Everybody knows that they only have to ask you something once. It's done. They don't have to follow up, no matter what it is. And I've come to you, as you know, many times for information on bills. It's something I was covering. And you get back to me immediately, and it's all there, and you get it done. That's your reputation, and everybody knows that. You know, we need a new breed of political leadership that is not beholden to the status quo, that is not a puppet of a handful of people that shake them down for campaign, advertising money and things of that nature. and actually get things done for the people. And I think you represent that.
I do, John, and I appreciate that. Let me tell you how energized our campaign is. I received a text message from a gentleman about a week ago and wanted to talk to me about my campaign. He was going to also call my opponent. And I immediately contacted him, and we had about a 45-minute conversation about a lot of different things in the office. And this is what he sent me yesterday. Dear Miss New Craig, I've probably never had to think so hard about an election in my life. Most of the time, it's obvious who I vote for. I've enjoyed our conversation, and then I spoke with Mr. King. It is clear to me he is status quo. But you have the energy, ideas, and right attitude to do a good job. So I wanted to let you know you have earned my vote. Tell me how I can help. I'm also going to tell all my friends in person and on Facebook about our conversation and how you won me over. That's what I've been doing. I've been going door to door, the candidate, knocking on the door, meeting with people, talking with them, telling them about my story and what I can do for Chesapeake. They're excited. I'm meeting so many new people, John. I'm so excited about this. We have 6 days left, and I'm going to work up until the polls close. 7 days a week. Well, 6 days a week now, 24 hours a day. The campaign reports just came out. I've outraised my opponent on both cycles. People are engaged in my campaign. They're contributing to my campaign. When someone contributes to your campaign, they're vested in your campaign. So I have people that are vested in my campaign. They're energized. They're excited. They're excited about my message. And I don't take anything for granted, and I'm going to work extremely hard to earn their vote. If the voters want progress and results, then they need to vote for me, Christie New Craig, on June 13th.
You know what? Your campaign has a tremendous amount of energy. It's a groundswell. There's no question about it. You've got grassroots backing. You know, they have the elites. They have the power players. They have the handful of elected politicians that are just want to perpetuate themselves. But you have a groundswell of backing that I've seen. I mean, when I was at your rally the other night, I think it was on Thursday night at Off the Hook.
Off the Hook.
I never saw so much energy there in a campaign. Ann and I, the Fräulein and I were so excited. And the other thing that I want to tell everybody is of the couple hundred people you had there, the level of diversity, demographic diversity, was nothing like I've seen in this party in some time. You had some mature people there, like me and my wife. Well, not her, but me, no question. But the number of younger people that showed up at that rally, 20, 22, 23, 25, 26 years old, you had probably 20 people that were 28 and under that have been shunned by the party leadership here, right? I mean, you go to any of these meetings, we're going to go to the committee meeting Thursday night, except for Nicholas Prophet, Victoria's son. It's tough to find anybody under 30 years old. So they haven't done a good job reaching out. You had them. You've galvanized them. You've got the energy. And this is really a grassroots effort. And I tell you the other thing, I've said this before and I'll say it again. If you support this president who is under fire right now, on June 13th, you can send a message by voting for Christie New Craig, because she was one of the first people, not only in Virginia, but in the country, elected officials, to back Trump. She stood behind him. And if there's ever a time now where you want to send that message for the president that you believe in his agenda and you're not going to abandon him, it's June 13th, and you can do that in Chesapeake by voting for Christie New Craig. Jim in Chesapeake says, please ask Christie if she would do like the previous elected Commissioner of Revenue, Vice Mayor, and Mayor and Sheriff when they posed in a political mailer in support of Democrat Lionel Sproul. By the way, great question, Jim from Chesapeake.
Thanks, Jim. First off, I have to say that I have worked with Lionel Sproul for about 30 years. I worked with him when he was on council. I worked with him when he was a delegate up in Richmond and now a senator. He is a great person for Chesapeake. I probably wouldn't have gone out and done a mailer, but when you talk politics, you have to understand that there are some elections and areas that Republicans can't win. Just like on the Democrat side, the Democrats can't take over a Republican seat. With that being said, you have to elect good Democrats and good Republicans on each side, and people that you can work with. And I will give credit to Lionel Sproul. He is a good Democrat that you can work with. But this is a primary. And so the Democrats aren't going to come out and vote for a Republican in the primary. They're going to vote for their Democrat ticket. I am running on the Republican ticket. I am running in the Republican primary, and I am going and asking for Republican votes. That's what it's about. Again, everybody has to cross lines at some point to get things done. There's a lot of things that need to be changed in the Commissioner of Revenue's office, and I'm going to have to bring stakeholders to the table, and it's going to be everybody involved, because we got to get this done. We got to change the direction we're going. We got to move Chesapeake forward, and I'm going to use anybody I can to make this happen. And I thank you for your question. I never saw that flyer, I think
the gist of this is a lot of people were upset that Republican elected officials backed Sproul in the general election, and especially because the Republican Susie Kelly wanted to run. Mm-hmm. And here we go again. I mean, this is why we're so enthusiastically backing Christie's campaign. Susie Kelly wanted to run as a Republican in that Senate district to give people a choice. Now, her odds of winning were low because that is a Democratic district, right? But she wanted to run so that she could give people a stark choice. And she was pressured out of it by the same people that tried to pressure you. That's what the problem is. Susie wanted to run. She should have been embraced by the Republican Party leadership of Chesapeake and said, hey, come on in. You know what? We love to have you. Instead, they talked her out of it. And that just upset a lot of people. Nothing to do with Lionel Sproul. He's a good guy, but we didn't even have a choice in that race.
Well, and Susie also wanted to run for the 4th District congressional seat, and she was talked out of it.
Pressured out of it.
Well,
Pressured
I know for a fact she probably could have won that seat. That seat was not, as everybody said, a loss. It was not.
No, she would have been.
McEachin didn't know the area.
She would have been a phenomenal candidate.
She could have won it, but she was talked out of it because they didn't want her to win it.
She was pressured out of it.
Well, I was there.
Yeah.
And
so
I was disappointed that she was talked to and basically said, you can't win it. Don't do it. Well, you don't know you can do anything or win anything until you try it. You can't win if you don't run.
Right. Well, that was the Forbes mantra when Randy and Shirley Forbes decided to abandon the 4th District and their voters and go to the 2nd District, their choice. That's fine. They lost. When they made that decision, they wanted to, part of their narrative was the 4th District is now unwinnable. So anybody legitimate that would have chose to run in that district, people would have said, well, then why is Randy leaving, right? So their narrative was to tell everybody you can't win. And so they really couldn't do anything against Sheriff Mike Wade in Henrico. He was too far away. They didn't have the influence over him. But they didn't want somebody from Chesapeake running for that seat and then saying, look, I can win, when they abandon it. So again, it's this level of political pressure that these people put on others that want to serve, that I think until the voters of Chesapeake stand up and say, I have had enough, and make a statement, it's going to continue to perpetuate and go on. Christie.
Listen, I like having competition. Competition is healthy. It's okay. Our founding fathers fought for this freedom that we have, that people can run for office. I ran 2 times in the school board, and each time there were 10, 12 people running for 5 seats. Competition is healthy. It makes the candidate work harder. It makes them appreciate what they have, and it makes them appreciate what they get when they win. I'm all about that. That's why I jumped into this race, because had I not jumped into this race, there would not have been a choice for the voters in Chesapeake for the Commissioner of Revenue's office. I'm running to give the voters a choice, and they have a choice. It's a stark difference, just like you said. It's status quo, 28 years of the same thing, or new ideas, new leadership, fresh set of eyes, new energy. That's what I bring to the table. I know the type of person I am, and I have a lot of supporters that have known me for 20, 30, 40 years, and they'll all tell you the same thing. Well, a lot of people are just meeting my opponent for the first time. I don't know that they could tell you 3 things that they know about him, but I can tell you the majority of the people that are supporting me have known me for a long time, and they can tell you my resume. They can speak about my life, about my school day years, everything, because I am known in Chesapeake. I've been a part of the Chesapeake, part of the grassroots for over 30 years. I don't take anything for granted, John. And this race is about, again, status quo versus new energy, new ideas. I can't stress that enough. I'm prepared to start day one. I have worked 16 years in Richmond. I have worked 15 years in law enforcement in Chesapeake protecting the citizens. I've been on the school board, elected twice, vice chair, chairwoman, $440 million budget we just approved. I work with the budget up in Richmond, $100 billion. I work with all 140 legislators. And let me tell you something, I got to thank Bill DeSteff for coming on the radio the other day. He knows me very well, and he spoke of my energy and my work ethic up in Richmond. And it was a spot on. Same thing with Chris Saxman. He was a delegate, worked with Chris, known Chris for 16 years. He spoke about the 16 years that he has known me and that I am a person that will get results.
All right, I've got a question from Thomas in Chesapeake. He says, I have a school board question.
Okay.
Why can't students be informed by a notice over the entrance to a school detailing students' religious constitutional rights?
Not sure, but I tell you, if he wants to email me, that looks like that's something that I need to have in an email, and I can get the exact question down, and I'll get the answer for him.
What's your email?
Thomas, email me at electchristienewcraig@gmail.com. That's electchristienewcraig@gmail.com, and I'll get you an answer. And if anybody else has any questions, please email me. I will get you the answers you want.
Email you where?
electchristienewcraig@gmail.com.
electchristienewcraig@gmail.com. We're just about out of time. Also, you can go to Christie's website,
ChristieForCommissioner.com, and then it's also my Facebook, which I just hit over 1,600 likes, which is Christie New Craig for Chesapeake Commissioner of the Revenue. Real quick, John, I know we have to leave, and this is important. We're looking for poll workers. We have a huge amount of poll workers right now. I'm so excited, but you can never have enough poll workers. So we're looking for poll workers for Tuesday, June 13th. Call Brenda Ike at 757-435-8777. That's 757-435-8777.
Again?
757-435-8777. We'd love to have you work on our campaign. If you have any questions, you can email me. I'm going to be walking this week. I'm going to be hitting doors. I'm going to be working extremely hard for the next 6 days to earn their vote.
Our Get Out the Vote operation is critical. I'm going to be live, by the way, Tuesday at some polling place, as we always are. We haven't chosen one. Anybody's got any ideas, give me a holler. Best thing to do is a school. But look, you need poll workers,
Yes.
about 10, 15 more on election
absolutely.
day. And just so everybody knows, you don't have to work 12 hours. If you can work 2 or 3 hours, that's fine. And what we want you to be able to do is hand out in the allotted area Christie's information as people come in, which everybody does. So we need that. That's critical to the operation. So if you can work 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, or 4 hours, or however much time, we'd appreciate it. So call Brenda Ike, who is handling that, at
757-435-8777.
Christie, thanks for being with us.
Thanks,
We're
John.
going to have you back, and probably we got a rally we're going to do. We'll be talking about that. You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network, trucking the truth across America. I'll be right back.